You're not lazy, you're tired. Tired of starting, tired of stopping, tired of looking yourself in the eyes and saying, this time it's different, only to watch the same exact story play out again by Wednesday. And the part that really cuts deep, the part that stays with you long after the scale numbers or the mirror glance, isn't even the weight itself, it's the feeling. That quiet, heavy disappointment that settles in your chest like fog you can't shake. It's the moment you catch your reflection in the hallway mirror on the way to the bathroom after another long day, and you don't look long enough to really see yourself. You just glance away. Like if you don't linger, it doesn't count. But it does. It always does. You feel it when you're getting dressed in the morning. That split-second hesitation when your favorite shirt pulls a little tighter than it used to. You feel it when you sit down on the couch after a brutal day of back-to-back Zoom calls and Slack pings, already knowing exactly how the evening is going to unfold. You feel it in the car after picking up takeout again, the bag warm on the passenger seat, while the radio plays some song about chasing dreams that suddenly feels like it's mocking you. You've lived this day before. You wake up with good intentions, honest ones. You tell yourself, today I'll do better, eat cleaner, move a little, just try. You even feel a flicker of hope while the coffee is brewing and the morning light hits the kitchen counter. But then life shows up. Emails that won't stop, meetings that run long, deadlines that shift at the last minute, kids needing rides to soccer practice or school events, the boss who needs just one more thing before you log off. The endless scroll of everyone else's highlight reels on your phone while you're stuck in traffic. Your energy gets drained piece by piece, hour by hour, until by 7 p.m., you're not thinking about discipline anymore. You're thinking about relief. And that's exactly where it happens, that moment. You know the one I'm talking about. Late at night, maybe 11:47 p.m. Standing in front of the fridge with the cold light hitting your face, casting long shadows across the kitchen tiles. You're not even hungry. Your stomach isn't growling, but there you are anyway, staring at the leftovers or the ice cream or the half-empty bag of chips you swore you'd throw out yesterday. And there are two voices. One says, soft and tempting, you've had a long day, you deserve this. Just relax. One time won't hurt. The other voice, quieter, almost pleading, says, don't do it, you promised yourself you wouldn't. You stand there for a second, not long, just long enough to feel the tension pull tight in your chest. And then, most nights, you give in. Not because you're weak, because you're exhausted. Because in that exact moment, food isn't really about food, it's relief, it's comfort. It's the one thing in your entire day that doesn't demand anything from you. No emails, no expectations, no performance. For those few minutes, it feels like the day finally lets go of you. You feel calmer, softer, like you could finally breathe. But then it hits. That feeling again. Not loud, not dramatic, just there. A quiet voice in the back of your mind that whispers, again? And the guilt settles in, heavy and familiar, like an old coat you keep putting on even though it doesn't fit anymore. Here's what almost nobody sees. Not your coworkers in the next Zoom square, not your friends who think you've got it together, not even your family sitting across the dinner table. On the outside, you're functioning. You show up, you handle your responsibilities, you smile in the team meeting. You help with homework, you answer the texts, you keep the plate spinning. But inside, you know you're not where you want to be. You know there's a version of you that's missing. And maybe you've tried. Actually tried. You've downloaded the tracking apps. You've watched the workout videos at 6 a.m. before the house wakes up. You've saved meal prep ideas. You've even deleted the delivery apps once and then reinstalled them 2 days later like nothing happened. Not because you didn't care, because something keeps pulling you back. And it's confusing. Because a real part of you, the deepest part, does want to change. You want to feel lighter when you walk up the stairs. You want to feel in control when you open your closet. You want to walk into a room full of people and not spend the entire time wondering if they're noticing the same things you do in the mirror. You want that version of you, the one with energy, with confidence, with quiet pride. But there's another part. The part that just wants to sit down. The part that just wants things to be easy for once. The part that doesn't want another hard thing added to an already overflowing plate. And those two versions of you, they don't take turns. They exist at the same time. That's why it feels like a fight. Not a loud, dramatic fight. A quiet one. The kind that happens in the small, invisible moments. Choosing what to eat when no one's watching. Choosing whether to lace up your sneakers or scroll instead. Choosing whether to stop or keep going. And most people think the real battle is the gym, or the diet plan, or the number on the scale. It's not. It's that moment in the kitchen at 11:47. It's that moment on the couch after everything finally slows down. It's that moment in the car when you're alone with your thoughts and the drive-through sign lights up like a beacon. That's where everything is decided. And here's the truth most people won't say out loud, not to you, not even to themselves. You've been losing that moment. Not every single time, but enough times over enough weeks and months to feel genuinely stuck. And being stuck is one of the most frustrating, draining feelings there is. Because you're not clueless. You know what to do. Move more, eat better, stay consistent. It's not a mystery. So when you don't do it, it feels personal, like something is wrong with you. Like maybe you just don't have what it takes. But let's be honest for a second. How many times have you ended the day saying, tomorrow I'll be better, only for tomorrow to look exactly the same? How many Mondays have come and gone? How many fresh starts have quietly turned into old habits by Wednesday afternoon? That's not laziness. That's a pattern, a loop. Wake up. Try. Get tired. Give in. Regret. Repeat. And the hardest part about that loop is what it does to you over time. It slowly chips away at your trust in yourself. You stop believing your own promises. You say you'll do something, and a quiet part of you already knows you probably won't. That's heavy. Because it stops being just about weight. It becomes about confidence. It becomes about control. It becomes about looking at yourself and not being sure you can rely on the person staring back. And that doubt leaks into everything. The way you carry yourself, the way you show up, the way you think about your future. Because deep down, and you know this, there's more in you. You know you're capable of more. You see other people balancing work, life, responsibilities, and still finding a way. And you think, why not me? What are they doing that I'm not? Do they just have more discipline, more time, more energy, or is there something I'm missing? Because from the outside, it looks simple, but from the inside, it feels heavy. It feels like every decision takes effort, like you're constantly negotiating with yourself. I'll start after this week. I'll do it when things calm down. I just need the right moment. But that moment never really comes. Life doesn't slow down. Work doesn't disappear. Stress doesn't wait. It keeps moving. And you keep adapting. But your health, your body, your energy keep getting pushed aside. Not because they don't matter, because everything else feels more urgent. And over time, that becomes your normal. Being tired becomes normal. Feeling uncomfortable in your own body becomes normal. Avoiding certain photos, certain clothes, certain situations becomes normal. And that's dangerous. Because when something becomes normal, you stop questioning it. You just live with it. But here's the truth. You weren't meant to live like this. Constantly tired. Constantly negotiating. Constantly starting over. You weren't meant to feel like a stranger in your own body. And I know part of you still believes that. That's why you're here. That's why something in you didn't scroll past. Because even if it's small, there's still a voice inside you that says, this isn't it. This is not how my story is supposed to go. And that voice matters. It's still there. It hasn't disappeared. It hasn't been buried completely. It's still speaking. Quietly. Patiently. Waiting. And right now, you're listening. Not to me. To yourself. For maybe the first time in a long while, without distractions. Without numbing it. Without escaping it, just facing it. And that takes strength. Because most people don't do that. Most people stay busy, stay distracted, stay comfortable. Anything to avoid this moment. But you didn't. You're here, which means something in you is ready. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not fully, but enough. Enough to question things, enough to look at your life and say, this can't keep going like this. And that's where change begins. Not with a perfect plan, not with motivation, with honesty, real, uncomfortable honesty about where you are, about what you've been doing, about what it's costing you. Because this isn't just about weight, it's about energy, confidence, self-respect, the way you experience your life. And right now, you're at a point where you can keep going the same way, or you can start doing something different. Not everything, just something. But before that, you need to understand why this keeps happening. Because if you don't, you'll go right back into the same loop. And you already know how that feels. So before we talk about what to do, we're going to understand what's really going on. Because once you see it clearly, everything starts to change. And that's where we're going next. So now you are not avoiding it anymore. You are looking at it directly. And once you start looking at it honestly, you begin to notice something important. It is not random. It is not just one bad day after another. It is a pattern. The same kind of day, repeating with different details, but always leading to the same quiet ending. Different excuses. Same outcome. Different weeks. Same loop. And when something repeats like this in your life, there is always a deeper reason behind it. Not the surface level reasons you've told yourself before, a real one. The kind that explains why knowing what to do has never been enough. Because if it was simply about knowing what to do, you would have already done it. You are not confused about the basics. You know walking helps. You know eating better helps. You know consistency matters more than perfection. You have heard it all. So the real question is not what you should do. The real question is why you do not do it, even when a part of you genuinely wants to change. And the answer is not what you think. It is not that you do not care enough. It is not that you lack willpower. It is not that you are broken. It is that you have been trained without realizing it. Trained by your environment. Trained by your routine. Trained by the way modern life is built around you. Think about your average day. You wake up and the first thing you reach for is your phone. Notifications start coming in immediately. Messages, emails, updates, content. Your brain gets hit with stimulation before your feet even touch the floor. Then the day accelerates. Work tasks pile up. Meetings stack back to back. Deadlines shift. You are constantly reacting, switching between tabs, switching between problems, switching between responsibilities. And by the time the day slows down, you are not just physically tired, you are mentally drained. The kind of drained where even small decisions feel heavy. And when your brain reaches that state, it does not look for what is best for your future. It looks for what is easiest right now, what is quick, what is effortless, what feels like relief. And that is where the real problem begins. Because the world you live in is built for that exact moment. Everything around you is designed to be easy. Food can show up at your door in minutes. Entertainment is always one tap away. Comfort is always available. No waiting, no effort. And your brain has adapted to that environment perfectly. It has learned to expect quick rewards, quick comfort, quick relief. So when you try to choose something that does not give you that instant payoff, your brain resists. Not because it is bad for you, because it feels unfamiliar, because it does not match what your system has been trained to expect. Your brain has learned to choose now over later, immediate over delayed, every single time if you let it run on autopilot. That is why late night snacks win. That is why the couch wins. That is why just one more episode wins. Because they give you something right away. Taste, comfort, escape, no delay. But the version of you that you actually want, the one with energy, the one with confidence, the one who feels in control, that version does not appear instantly. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes doing things that do not feel rewarding right away. And that gap between what feels good now and what builds something real later is where you keep getting stuck. Every time you choose the instant option in that gap, you reinforce a pattern. You teach your brain, this is how we handle discomfort. We escape, we delay. We choose what feels easiest. And the more you repeat that, the stronger it becomes, until it stops feeling like a choice at all. It becomes automatic. That is why sometimes you find yourself already eating, already scrolling, already halfway into something, and you do not even remember deciding. That is not weakness. That is conditioning. That is a loop your brain has practiced so many times, it now runs without asking you. And this is why willpower alone does not work. Willpower is real, but it is temporary. It shows up when you feel motivated. It shows up when things are easy. But your life is not built on those moments. It is built on your average days, your tired days, your stressful days, your overwhelmed days. And in those moments, willpower fades fast. If your entire plan depends on feeling strong, it will keep failing. Not because you are failing, because the plan was never designed for real life. Now go deeper. Because this is not just about habits, it is also about emotion. Look at the moments when the urge hits hardest. It is not random. It shows up when stress builds, when work feels overwhelming, when everything is too much, when you are bored, when you feel alone. And in those moments, you reach for something that changes how you feel. Food becomes that thing. Not because of hunger, because of relief. Because it quiets your mind for a moment. Because it softens the day. Because it gives you something when everything else feels heavy. Over time, food stops being just food. It becomes a coping tool. A way to deal with emotions you do not want to sit with. A way to feel control, even for a moment. And that is why it is so hard to stop. Because you are not just breaking a habit. You are letting go of something that helped you get through hard days. It was there when you were exhausted. It was there when you were stressed. It worked. At least for a moment. So when someone says just stop, they are missing the point. Because if you remove that, without replacing it, you are left with a gap. And your brain hates gaps. It fills them fast with whatever is familiar. So the pattern comes back. Not because you do not want change, because nothing replaced what was taken away. Now there is one more layer. And this one goes deeper than everything else. Identity. Not what you say you want, but what you believe about yourself. Because your actions do not come from your goals. They come from your identity. From the story you tell yourself about who you are. Think about that story. I am not consistent. I always start and quit. I try, but I mess it up. Maybe you do not say it out loud, but you feel it. And when you believe something long enough, your brain tries to prove it true. It keeps your actions aligned with that belief, not on purpose, automatically. So if you believe you are someone who quits, you will keep quitting, even when you want to change. That is why this feels so hard, because it is not just behavior, it is identity. And identity does not change overnight. It changes through proof, small proof, repeated proof. Every time you follow through on something small, you send a signal. This is who I am now. Every time you break it, you reinforce the old version. That is why small moments matter. They are not small, they are votes. Votes for who you become. So when you say, I don't know why I keep failing, now you see it clearly. It is not one reason, it is layers. Your environment, your habits, your emotions, your identity, all working together, quietly, consistently, keeping a loop alive. You have been playing a game without knowing the rules, trying harder without seeing what you were up against. But now you see it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You start noticing the patterns. You catch the moments earlier. You realize this is not random. It is predictable. And that changes everything. Because now you have a choice. Not a big one, a small one. In the moments where you used to react automatically, you can pause. Just a little longer. Just enough to notice. Just enough to respond differently. Not perfectly. Not every time. But more than before. And that is how change begins. Not with a complete transformation. With interruption. Breaking the pattern. Creating space. And in that space, you are no longer controlled by the habit. You become someone who chooses. And that shift from reacting to choosing is powerful. But understanding alone is not enough. Because you can see everything clearly and still stay stuck if nothing changes in your actions. So the next step is not more thinking. It is a decision, a real one, not temporary motivation, not a quick burst of energy, a line, a clear line between who you have been and who you are no longer willing to be. You have now seen what has been running in the background, the environment, the habits, the emotions, the identity. None of it makes you broken. It makes you human. But now you are aware, and awareness gives you power. Not loud power, quiet power. The power to interrupt, the power to respond, the power to choose differently, The patterns are strong, but they are not permanent. They were built one choice at a time, and they can be changed the same way, one choice at a time. This is the foundation. Clarity instead of confusion, understanding instead of shame. And from here, you do not need to guess anymore. You do not need to blame yourself anymore. You see what is happening. And now, you are ready to do something about it. Not everything at once, just the next step. And that is exactly where we go next. So now you see it. You see the pattern clearly. You see the pull of instant comfort. You see how your environment, your habits, your emotions, and your identity have been working together to keep the loop running. You understand why change has felt so difficult, even when you wanted it. But here is something you need to hear clearly. Understanding alone has never changed anyone's life. You have understood things before. You have watched videos. You have made plans. You have had moments where everything felt clear, and then nothing changed. The same cycle came back. So this moment is different. This is not about learning more. This is about deciding. Because there comes a point where you get tired, not just physically, mentally tired of explaining your life to yourself, tired of saying you are busy, tired of saying you will start soon, tired of knowing what to do and not doing it. And something inside you reaches a point, not loud, not dramatic, just clear. I am done living like this. Not for anyone else, just for you. A quiet line, drawn inside, and this kind of decision feels different. It is not excitement, it is clarity. Because you have lived the other way long enough. The starting, the stopping, the regret, the way it slowly breaks your trust in yourself. And something in you finally says, enough. Not emotional, real, grounded, no more excuses. Because now you understand something. Motivation is not reliable. Some days you feel ready, some days you feel nothing. And if your progress depends on how you feel, you will always stay inconsistent. So this is where the shift begins. You stop waiting to feel ready, you choose, and then you move anyway. That is the difference. And do not misunderstand this. You will still feel tired. You will still feel that pull toward comfort. You will still have moments where the old pattern shows up strong. Those feelings do not disappear. What changes is how you respond to them. Because now you are aware. And awareness gives you a moment, a small window, right before you act, where you can choose. Not perfectly, not every time, but more than before. And that is enough. You do not need to change everything. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a different response. In the same situations you have faced 100 times. When you get home tired, you move a little. Not because you feel like it, because you decided. When that late night moment shows up, you expect it. You do not pretend it will not happen. And when it does, you slow it down, just enough to see what is really happening. Even if you still give in sometimes, those moments where you respond differently matter. Because every interruption weakens the pattern. Every small change breaks the automatic flow. And once something stops being automatic, it becomes a choice again. That is where control comes back. You do not need to win the whole day. You need to win moments. One decision at a time. Because your life is built from those moments, the small ones, the ones you usually ignore. What you do when you are tired, what you do when you are stressed, what you do when no one is watching. That is what shapes everything. So stop trying to change everything. Focus on the next decision, right now. Make it slightly better. That is it. Nothing complicated. Because once you do that, you create momentum. And momentum changes everything. It makes the next decision easier. Then the next one. Slowly, what felt impossible starts to feel possible. And that shift matters more than anything. Right now it feels heavy, like something you cannot hold on to. Because you have been looking at it too big. Lose weight, fix everything, change your whole life. That is overwhelming. Anyone would avoid that. So zoom in. What is the next decision? Make it better. Then the next one. That is how this works. And every time you do that, you are building something deeper. Not just a habit, a new identity. Someone who follows through. Someone who does not give up at the first discomfort. Someone who stays. That is who you are becoming. Not by saying it, by doing it. Quietly, consistently. Because this is not about other people. It is not about impressing anyone. It is about you. Proving to yourself that you can rely on yourself. That when you say something, you follow through. Even when it is hard. Even when no one sees it. That builds trust. And once you feel that, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you think, the way you show up. Confidence does not come from results first. It comes from trust. Trust that you will do what you said. Trust that you will not run when it gets hard. Trust that you will keep going, even when it feels slow. And that trust is built in real life, not perfect conditions. Your real schedule, your real energy, your real responsibilities. And it is possible, but only if you stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation. Start acting now, before it feels easy, before it feels natural, because that is how consistency is built. Through action, not feeling. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable. It should, because you are doing something different. Breaking patterns always feel strange at first. It can feel like you are going against yourself. But that discomfort means something is changing. It means you are not stuck anymore. So do not run from it. Stay with it. Move anyway. Because the goal is not comfort. The goal is capability. The ability to choose better, even when it is hard. The ability to continue, even when it is slow. That is the real win. Everything else comes after. So right now, make that decision. Not out loud. Not for anyone else. Just for you. I am not going back. Not perfectly, but intentionally. From this moment, you stop waiting. You stop delaying. You act small, simple, now. Because the moment you move, you change direction. And direction is everything. You do not need to see the whole path. You just need to stop standing still. That is enough to begin. You have moved from understanding to decision. You have seen the truth, and you chose not to ignore it. That matters. That is the turning point. Now, the next step is to make this real, to turn this decision into something you can actually live. Not something extreme, something sustainable, something that works on your busiest days, your tired days, your normal days. Because this is not about burning out. It is about building something that lasts. And that is exactly what comes next. All right? Take a deep breath with me right now. Because everything you have felt so far, the honest look at where you are, the understanding of why the patterns have been so strong, and that quiet decision you just made inside, it carries real power. But power without direction can fade. I do not want this to become another moment that touches you deeply and then disappears into the noise of daily life. I do not want you to wake up tomorrow with the same cycle waiting for you. So let us make this real. Not perfect, not extreme, just real and workable in the life you are already living. Because here is the truth. You do not need a completely new life to change. You need a better system. A system that actually works on your worst days, not just on the rare days when motivation is high and everything feels possible. Your best days are easy, you feel energized, you make better choices, you move without thinking twice. But your life is not built on your best days. It is built on your tired days after long hours of meetings and emails. It is built on your stressful days when responsibilities from work and family pull in every direction. It is built on your I do not feel like it. Days when the couch and the screen look far more appealing than any kind of effort. That is the reality we are designing for. We're not building something fragile that collapses the first time life gets busy. We are building something that survives your actual days. So do not overthink this. You do not need 10 complicated rules. You do not need an extreme life reset that demands hours every single day. You need clear, simple, repeatable structure. 3 rules. That is it. Simple enough to remember. Clear enough to follow even when your mind is tired. Non-negotiable enough to create real momentum over time. Rule number 1. Move every single day. Not a perfect workout. Not an intense hour-long session at the gym that you will skip when life gets busy. Just move. Hours scrolling on the couch in the evening. We interrupt that pattern gently but consistently. 10 minutes is your baseline. Nothing more is required to count as a win on any given day. A walk around your block after you finish work. Parking a little farther away at the grocery store and actually walking the distance. Doing a few body weight movements while your coffee is brewing or while something is heating in the microwave after a long day, it all counts. Your brain will try to argue with you immediately. It will say 10 minutes is too small to matter. It will say, what is the point if it is not a real workout? Ignore that voice. Because this rule is not about burning maximum calories right now. It is about rebuilding the pattern of daily movement. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes even when you are exhausted. That repetition builds consistency, and consistency quietly changes your baseline. You stop being the person who defaults to doing nothing with your body. You become the person who always does something. That identity shift matters more than intensity in the beginning, because once daily movement becomes normal for you, you can build on it naturally later. But if you keep waiting for the perfect workout conditions, you will keep doing nothing on most days. So lower the bar intentionally. Remove the pressure that has caused you to quit before, but never remove the action itself. Move every day, no exceptions. 10 minutes is enough to keep the streak alive and the pattern growing. Rule number 2, control your environment. Because right now your environment is doing more decision-making for you than you realize. It decides what is easy, what is visible, what is right in front of you when you are drained and not thinking clearly. And when you are exhausted, you do not rise to higher levels of discipline. You fall to whatever is most convenient. So we change what convenient means in your space. Look at your kitchen, your living room, your phone, your daily surroundings with total honesty. What is within easy reach when you are tired? What is visible the moment you walk through the door after work? What requires zero effort to grab? If your space is filled with options that pull you off track, you will reach for them. Not because you lack willpower, because they are there and they are easy. So make small practical adjustments. You do not need to throw everything out in one dramatic purge. Just make better choices easier and worse choices slightly harder. Keep a water bottle where you can see it. Stock simple, ready-to-eat options in your fridge. Make it easier to choose better when your energy is low. If your phone is one of your biggest distractions, stop relying on willpower alone. Move the apps off your home screen. Log out of accounts. Create friction. Make the old habit harder. Make the better choice easier. Because when you are tired, you take the path of least resistance. So change the resistance. Shift your environment so it supports the person you are becoming. Rule number 3. Win small every single day. Not big dramatic wins. Small, doable wins. This is where most people lose momentum. They think change has to be all or nothing. So when one thing goes wrong, they throw the whole day away. That is how the cycle keeps repeating. We break that pattern here. You do not need a perfect day. You need one better decision. That is it. You feel stressed and want to order food. Instead of going all in, maybe you still order, but you make a slightly better choice. That counts. You feel tired and want to skip movement. You still do your 10 minutes. That counts. You catch yourself slipping into an old pattern, even noticing it as progress. That counts. Because every small win is a vote for who you are becoming. It rebuilds trust. Right now, the biggest gap is not knowledge. It is self-trust. So we rebuild it one small promise at a time, not through big declarations, through consistent proof. Let me make this real for you. You wake up tired. You do not force a full workout. You move for 10 minutes. Later, you feel overwhelmed. Instead of reacting automatically, you slow down just enough to notice. At night, the old urge comes back. This time, you expect it. You are more aware. Maybe you handle it better. Maybe you do not. But you stay in the process. That is the difference. This system is not about removing struggle. It is about responding differently. And you will have bad days. Days where you fall back. Days where everything feels off. That is part of being human. But this time, you do not disappear. You come back immediately, not next week, not Monday, now. Because consistency is not perfection, it is how quickly you return. Keep it simple. Move every day. Control your environment. Win small every day. That is your system. Not complicated, not extreme, real, repeatable, sustainable. And if you follow these rules, even imperfectly, you will change. Not overnight, but steadily. And steady change is the kind that lasts. You now have something real you can take into tomorrow, something that works in your actual life. You are not waiting anymore. You are not guessing anymore. You are building something, but there is still one final piece. Because even with a system, there will be moments when you want to quit. Moments when the old version of you feels stronger. And in those moments, you will need something deeper. Not rules, not plans. A reason that does not break. And that is where we are going next. There's going to be a moment. Not a perfect, planned, Instagram-ready moment. A real one. The kind that actually happens in your life. You will be tired. Your day will not have gone exactly as you hoped. Your energy will feel low. Your mind will start whispering the same old things. Just let it go. You can start again later. One slip does not matter, and it will feel familiar. Because you have been there before, that point where everything inside you wants to stop. Where comfort feels louder than progress. Where the old patterns feel easy again. That moment is where this becomes real. Not in the gym. Not in a perfect meal plan. Not in some future version of you. Right there, in the middle of your actual day, where it is just you and your next decision. For a long time, you chose comfort in that moment. Not because you did not care, not because you lacked desire, because it felt easier, because you were exhausted, because giving in gave you relief. But now you see it differently. Now you recognize that moment for what it really is. A turning point. Every single time. A small one, yes, but powerful. Because it decides your direction. And direction is everything. You can feel stuck for months, even years, and still be moving. Either toward the version of yourself you want, or back into the version you are trying to leave behind. And most of that direction is decided in quiet moments. After work, under stress, when no one is watching. That is where identity is built or lost. So when that moment comes again, and it will, you do not panic, you do not overthink it, you do not wait to feel ready, you remember that this moment matters, and you slow it down just enough to choose. Not perfectly, not with superhuman strength, just intentionally. You do not need to win every battle. You need to stop losing automatically. That is the shift from autopilot to awareness, from reaction to response. And every time you do that, something changes. You build resistance. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, real, the kind that shows up when it counts. Over time, that resistance becomes strength. Not the kind others see first. The kind you feel. When you keep your word to yourself. When you move, even when you do not feel like it. When you stay instead of quitting. That is where confidence is born. Not from results, from proof. Because for a long time, discomfort meant escape. Now, discomfort means stay. Stay a little longer. Feel it. Move anyway. That is a different life. And yes, you will still have hard days. Days where you feel low. Days where you slip. Days where everything feels off. That does not disqualify you. That is part of being human. The difference now is what you do next. You do not disappear. You do not wait for Monday. You do not restart. You continue. Messy, imperfect, but forward. Because continuing is progress. And the more you continue, the less control those moments have over you. You start deciding more often, more clearly. And then something shifts. Not just in what you do, but in who you believe you are. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits. You start seeing yourself as someone who shows up, someone who stays, someone who keeps going. And when that belief changes, everything changes. Your actions follow it, naturally. One day, you will notice it. Not in a dramatic way, in a quiet moment. You will face a situation that used to break you, and you will handle it differently, without the same struggle, without the same fight. You will just choose better. And in that moment, you will realize something. You have changed. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently. And that change will start showing everywhere. In your energy, in your confidence, in how you carry yourself, in how you think. Because when you trust yourself, everything feels different. You are not guessing anymore. Someone who continues no matter what. And that version of you is already forming right now, in your decisions, in your awareness, in the fact that you stayed here. That matters. Because most people do not stay. They distract, they avoid, they escape. You did not. You stayed. You listened. You faced it. And that says something powerful. You are ready. Not for something easy, for something real. From here, keep it simple. Keep showing up. Keep choosing better. And when you slip, come back immediately. Without attacking yourself, because returning is what makes this permanent. Not perfection, consistency. And do not wait to feel proud. Start noticing now the small wins, the better decisions, the moments you stayed. That is real progress, and it matters, because that builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. So if something inside you is shifted right now, do not ignore it. Do something with it. Start today, not perfectly, just intentionally. Say it to yourself, I am starting today, not next week, not tomorrow, today. And once you start, do not stop. Even if it is slow, even if it is messy, even if it feels invisible, keep going. Because the version of you that you want is not far away. It is being built right now in what you choose next. So choose it, stay with it, and do not go back. You can break physically, you can break mentally, you can break emotionally. But what those breaks create, that is up to you. Every struggle leaves a mark of defeat or a mark of growth. Right now, you are choosing what kind of mark you will carry. You still have fight in you. You still have a choice. You are not finished. You are becoming. And becoming requires staying when you want to leave, pushing when you want to stop, believing when it feels like it is not working. That is staying power. That is what you are building. Not just a better body, a stronger mind, a stronger identity, a stronger you. One day you will look in the mirror and you will not look away. You will see strength. You will see discipline. You will see someone who kept going. Not perfect, but consistent. Not flawless, but unbreakable where it matters. Because that is who you are now. You are the one who fights through it, who pushes through it, who rises above it no matter what. You will not break. You will remain unbroken. You have done the hard part. You faced the truth. You made the decision. You have the system. Now live it, day by day. Moment by moment, you are ready, you are capable. And the version of you on the other side of this is already proud of you. You will not break. If this hit you, if you felt this in a real way, then do not just walk away from it. Go down and write this. I'm starting today. Not for me, for you. So you can see it. So you can commit to it, so this moment does not disappear. And if you know someone who needs this, send it to them. Because nobody fights alone.